right, another different one. I've debated doing speaker. I'm going to just rock the camera here for a second. I've been debating doing vintage speaker reviews because, number one, I can describe how they sound, but I can't really demonstrate to you how they sound. I'm not set up for that. And there's a lot of information about speakers out there. So if I'm doing a speaker review, it's something, excuse me, it's going to be something that is going to be on the rare side, on the odd side, right? Like if I get a pair of HPM 100s or JBL L100s, unless I got them and they were, dug out of the bottom of a lake and it's just a project that I'm trying to revive them, that would be a video I would shoot. But just coming across some L88s or L100s or HPM 100s or whatever, it's been done. But what I want to do with my vintage speaker reviews is go over some speakers that you may not be aware of or that are on the rare side or on the older side, right? So here is an example of one such set of speakers. Now I'm only showing you one because, as you can see, I'm way back from this speaker. That's not gigantic, but it is a pretty good size. And I have some other speakers sitting on my little rolling rack, so I can't, I didn't want to throw these on the floor and do that. So, plus I'm not going to listen to these. But I will talk to you about how they sounded when I did listen to them. So here you have some Medallion 12s made by University speakers, right? University Medallion 12s. Early 60s vintage, right? Maybe early to maybe mid 60s vintage speakers. Now here's the interesting about University speakers and specifically the Medallion. These are like shapeshifters. And number one, the series, and I'll see if I can find the product ad, but Medallions can take any form that they want to. They can be furniture grade, where they're sitting on pedestals. They can sit sideways, sitting on pedestals. They can be bookshelf speakers. Now, they're all about the same size, but the form factor is going to be different, right? You can have them as studio monitors, right? To give more of a horizontal, right, presentation than a vertical presentation. So in one ad, I saw like 6 different University Medallion 12s, and they all look different. Like if you lined them up, you would think that they were different speakers. And then within each one of those particular footprints, you can have different grills. Now, having different grills for speakers isn't super uncommon. For example, the JBL L88s. You could have Novas, you could have Cortinas, right? It's the same speaker, different grills. But these were like the grill choices you had, combinations you could choose were crazy. So again, I could have 4 of these speakers, same color, with probably 3 or 4 different grills to make them look completely different. So very, very interesting speakers. Very interesting speakers. Now, I didn't look up the wattage for these. I'm going to see if it's on the back. I know that these are 16 ohm. At least they're supposed to be 16 ohm speakers. So before I take the grill off and we look at the drivers, and I'm going to get in the frame here for a second, right? So here's the badge. I'm not going to zoom in. So it looks like 40 watts. It says 40 watts. Connect to 8 to 16 ohm amplifier. This doesn't say that they're 16 ohm, but I have found that on the internet. This has just screw type speaker terminals, which I don't like on any kind of speaker, right? No screws in the back, which is interesting, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Take the grill off here, look at the front. And the way these attach are pretty interesting. And you have to align them just right. So you've got little pegs here, right, with screws on the ends, and they go into these plastic cups that you can remove. So just to give you a little bit of background on this particular set of speakers, I brought these home because they didn't sound right. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. I didn't really do anything to them, but I will tell you about something you want to look for. One of them has some damage to the top. These are they're in perfect condition, except for one. Some excuse my language, put a plant or something on top, got water, cracked the top of it, all to hell. What I was thinking I might be able to do is, although the speaker terminals wouldn't be in the right spot, is I thought I could remove the baffle and then flip it upside down because the bottom is in better shape than the top. I removed all these screws. I can't do that. I don't know how these were put together, but you're not getting these apart. At least I couldn't figure an easy way to get these apart. So these are very, very extremely well-made speakers. So you've got the woofer. Now this has that material that kind of turns to plastic. I treated this with some brake fluid so it's spongy again, right? You just put a little bit of brake fluid on it, let it soak in, remove the excess, and then, you know, now it's nice and subtle. It's got a little bit more low, it's got a little bit more of a balanced, like low end sound to him now. Because this was hard as a rock. This was just, it had turned to plastic. So the brake fluid trick worked on these. I don't like to do that often, but on these, you know, I'm not going to refoam them or mess with them. You know, just put a little brake fluid on it. Hope for the best. And we got these for nothing. These were just kind of gimme speakers. So here you have woofer, right? Nice emblem on the dust cap. You have the mid. You've got the tweeter here in the middle. Now, there's special stuff about the tweeter. I don't really care about that. I don't get super geeky about speakers. If I find something, I'll flash up what's going on with the tweeters. Here's the interesting thing. When I was trying to figure out the construction of the baffle, I removed this mid. There is no weight to that mid. There's no magnet to that mid. And these speakers are really light. They're not heavy at all. But they sound really pretty good. And I'll explain the sound here in a minute. But anyway, just not a lot of weight to the speakers. I don't know about the magnet for the woofer. I didn't even mess with that. As far as controls and working this, I already told you about the speaker terminals in the back that I don't like, right? And then we have a presence, which is normal and max, right? Gives a little bit of an expanded range, I guess, would be the way that I could best describe it. Now, the reason why I brought these home is one of them sounded like only the woofer was working. So rather than take it apart at the shop and look at it, I brought it home. And what it was when either L pad for either speaker is turned to this normal position or all the way clockwise, right? It's cutting out the mids and the tweets, right? So all I did was, and I can't really get to it to clean the L pad, so I just kind of worked the L pad back and forth. There was zero static. It's just when it's pegged out to the right in that normal position where it hits that black box on both speakers, it just cuts out the top end. So if I backed it off just a little tiny bit, I get sound, and they do sound good. And then rotating the L pad counterclockwise all the way to here, it almost zeroes it out. So down here, right? So this position here and this position all the way to the right, it's the same sound. So I don't know if that's by design or not. To me, it doesn't seem like it would be, but I don't know. I also don't know why you have increase and then you have normal right there, right? So normal, back it off a little bit, and it's max. And this may not even be in the right spot. I have no idea. Again, I'm not a university speaker expert. Sound-wise, I was surprised. The one speaker sounded good in the shop, but the one speaker sounded muffled. So once I got it sorted out and I had it attached to Kenwood K6000 from the late 60s, early 70s, cap coupled receiver, sounded better than it should. In doing the product kind of research for this, you know, I go to Audio Karma, I look up posts, like what are people saying about these? They all have the same impression that I have. So in the shop, we had this hooked up to some kind of little solid state amplifier. I don't remember what it was, but didn't really sound that good. And then I think someone pulled the grill off and they messed with that, and then the speaker went out. I never paid these any attention before. Bringing them here, hooking them up to my capacitor coupled receiver, sound really good. Feedback, comments on Audio Karma say that these are great for warm tube receivers, cap coupled receivers. These are not speakers you rock out to. And I would totally agree with that. It doesn't sound right. I had this running also through a Kyocera R661, right? Just I wanted to connect them. Didn't sound nearly as good as it sounded with the Kenwood KA6000. So what I'm getting at is these speakers, if you're listening to a lot of metal, a lot of hard rock, punk, modern stuff, not the speaker for you. If you listen to jazz, some classic rock, mono pressings, right? Music that you just kind of ease into, right? You just kind of slide into the music, Miles Davis, right? Old Rolling Stone, something like that. Especially on a piece of tube equipment or a cap coupled piece of gear, these are going to be right at home. That's what these were made for. Early 60s, right? Metallica, no. Miles Davis, yes. So definitely for folks that like casual listening, background music, perfect for these. Interesting speakers, right? Interesting speakers. What else can I say about the University loudspeakers? I don't know. I'll see if I can post some information about how long University made speakers, when they made speakers. I'll try to find some product catalogs. Again, I didn't really do any research on these, just minimum, before I came out here to shoot this. So if I have any of that information, it'll be kind of flashed up here as I'm talking right now. But these University loudspeakers are very interesting. I know they made speakers, I believe, into the 70s, and then they kind of changed form, right? Changed form. And I think quality maybe started to drift a little bit on these. I could be mistaken though, but that was every manufacturer. Hell, maybe they went in the opposite direction. But all I know is that University was not a brand that I was familiar with at all, right? Back in the day. So anyway, these were the University Medallion 12s. Interesting speakers, right? Mid-century modern vibe to them. They have a nice blonde. I don't know what this is. If this is walnut or I don't know if it's maple or cherry or what this is. I don't know. I don't know anything about the different wood types, but they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous speakers. Really nice looking speakers. I wish whoever put the plant on these, 100 years ago wouldn't have done that. And I really wish they were easy to get apart so I could flip that around and make it more presentable because it's all cracked and stuff. But, it is what it is. And these are priced accordingly. You could put them in a spot where you can probably hide that a little bit. But I was thinking about trying to refinish it, but I won't even touch these speakers. They're too pristine, right? I would not do that justice by trying to sort out the top panel on the other one. So anyway, I'm rambling at this point. As always, if you like what you see, hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.